Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and today is the 21st of October. Yesterday evening, Heritage had a number of really nice Star Wars items that sold at auction, so I thought I would go through them. There wasn't anything too crazy, but there were some good deals. There were some that, I questioned the final sales prices on in terms of maybe what people were thinking, but this is another example of a Heritage auction where there were some really good deals in between, in between the really big items. So all of the prices I'm going to quote include the buyer's premium. It does not include shipping or sales tax. They do charge sales tax for all of their auctions, but there were some nice items in here. So let's take a look. We're going to start off with some 12 backs. First was a 12 back B Darth Vader AFA 85 with the label up top, punched example, no price sticker. That one sold for $26.25 for a 12 back B Vader. Seems like a pretty fair price to me. Here was a 12A C3PO AFA 70. So a lot of the items that were in this auction weren't necessarily the highest grades, but just a good kind of barometer for how the market is doing, maybe for the more common lower grade type items. And that's going to be the theme for a lot of these. I love that the head is backwards on C3PO there. It kind of rotated around. So subgrades 80, 60, 75 were the subgrades. 1093.75 was the final sales price on him. Here was a Sand People AFA 75 12 back B JC Penney price sticker punched example. And that one sold for $13.12.50. That one seems a little high to me, but for an AFA 75, but it is what it is. I can't gauge the final sales prices on some of these. I would have guessed somewhere in the ballpark of $900, but that is kind of what it sold for, $13.12. Here was an AFA 50 12 back A Luke Skywalker. So again, a very low grade. You can see the crease going through the entire portion of the card there. Card got a 40. Blister 60, figure 75 on that one, and that one sold for $1031.25. It was a 12 back A, so I can understand that final sales price. Not a price I'd pay personally, but I can understand it, just given that it is an early card back. Here was a 12 back C Luke Skywalker, and you can see there on the back of the card that it had like a punch going all the way through it. If I can pull it up here. Let's see here. So here was some creasing on the card. On the front, it looked like it was going all the way through, but apparently not. So it's just got a little tear or something going on the front there inside the blister. And the scores were card 50, blister 75, figure 75. This was also a Taiwan glossy pants 12 back C, and that one sold for $1093.75. So $1093.75 AFA. I've already forgotten. My brain's so bad. AFA 50 12 back C Taiwan sold for $10.93, and then an AFA 50 12 back A sold for $10.31. So pretty consistent sales prices, whether it was a 12A or the 12C, both same grade. Here was an AFA 75 12 back C Han Solo, and that one sold for $18.12.50. So big number on that one. 75, 80, 85. So two high sub scores, punched example. No price sticker, $18.12.50. And here was a Stormtrooper that was a 12 back C AFA 80. And, here's one that was straight 80s for the sub score. You can see some pink going on the limbs for that Stormtrooper. And that one sold for $18.12.50. Again, 12 back C, unpunched example with a Kmart price sticker. Here was an unpunched AFA 50 12 back C R2-D2. It was the harder to find Taiwan, but look, you can kind of see what's going on there on the figure. It kind of looks like there's some discoloration going on the actual plastic body of that R2-D2. So, hard to say what happened there, but even inside the blister, some of these figures can degrade. It did have a figure subscore of 50 that actually held it back. It's kind of an interesting sale because the card 75, blister 80, but the figure was a 50, so it got the overall 50. And, we explained why. It's got some very obvious discoloration going on there. Presents a lot nicer, I would argue, just given that the other subscores were so high. 781.25 was the final on that one. Here was a 20 back A Jawa AFA 80, 1093 75, maybe a little high on that one, but not terribly high. I would, kind of say a couple $100 high. That's my personal opinion. 21A for Darth Vader, AFA 70. And that one sold for $1562.50. Big number there for an AFA 70. Card 70, blister 60, figure 75. So none of these were kind of like investment grade, if you want to call it that. Investment grade versus collector grade. This was more of like for the most part, collector grade type of auction session. Here was the Millennium Falcon diecast DCA 75. That sold for $687.50. That's right around where I would expect that one to sell. I had a CAS 80 that I bought and resold for about the same price of about $660. And so that's kind of right in line with that. Here was a DCA 70 Y-Wing, 1031.25. That's a big number there for a 70 grade, but that's what it did sell for. Here's the sub scores, 70, 85, 80. So 280 and 85 sub scores. You could argue that it presents a lot better than a 70 overall. 1031. Here was the Chewbacca bandolier strap, CAS 75 plus, 287.50 on that one. We've seen a couple of those sell recently on eBay in recent market updates. Jabba the Hutt action playset sold for $437.50. It was only a CAS 70 plus. So big number on that one for the grade it was, but it was mint in sealed box, 70 plus grade. The Imperial TIE Fighter Battle Damaged. This was the Return of the Jedi Battle Damaged TIE Fighter. Qualified 75. That one sold for $1937.50. Big number on that one. It is a harder to find item though, but I was surprised it went that high just given that it was a qualified grade. Really interesting sale there. Some Power of the Force mint on cards sold. This one I was really surprised it went this high. This is the Luke Stormtrooper with very heavy yellowing to the blister. Punched example. AFA yellowed 75 plus, 1562. Big number on that one. Wow. Really big number for 75 plus. The A-Wing fighter, this was an AFA 75 plus. This sold for $2187.50. I would argue that's probably right in line with market, just given where we've seen a few of these sell over the years. 75 plus grade, mint in sealed box as well. You can even make an argument that that's a little bit low, $2187. I thought this was a great deal. We've talked about Seiss Fromm and how expensive he's become, even loose complete ungraded. And we've seen higher sales prices than this for loose complete ungraded examples of Seiss Fromm. This was an AFA 80, new case style, $718.75. I thought that was a great deal. I actually had this on my watch list to potentially bid on, but I came to my senses and was tied up watching the National League Championship Series between the Mets and the Dodgers. So luckily I stayed away. And then here was the other really good deal. This was a lot of 2 for the droids examples of C-3PO and the R2-D2 pop-up lightsaber. Now the pop-up R2 was only an AFA 75, but the C-3PO was an AFA 85. So a 75 and an 85, and combined together, they sold for $843.75. That is a fantastic deal. Really good deal there. So I don't know. I mean, I think I watch Heritage very casually. I don't really plan on bidding on anything, at least right now. But if you're out there and you're hunting for different items, it's an auction site to keep on your radar for deals. I feel like the 12 backs mint on card, especially graded, very tough to get good deals on Heritage after you factor in the buyer's premium and taxes. But for loose graded, I mean, this was a great deal at $843.75. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at the recent October auction session over at Heritage. Thank you as always for watching. Please leave me a like, and I'll be back soon.